25 Psychological Facts About Virgo in 2026 that few people truly know. Have you ever noticed something about Virgo? They don't explode, they don't overshare, they don't reveal everything at once. They observe, they calculate, they remember. And most people think they understand Virgo because they see the surface. Organized, calm, critical, precise. But what if I told you that in 2026, the psychological depth of Virgo becomes impossible to ignore? What if the traits people casually label as perfectionism or control are actually survival strategies that few truly understand? Because here's the truth. Virgo is not just analytical. Virgo is psychological architecture. Every reaction is measured. Every emotion is filtered. Every attachment is evaluated. And when Virgo chooses silence, it's rarely weakness. It's strategy. In 2026, many people will misread Virgo again. They'll call them distant, too critical, too guarded, too private. But what they won't see is the internal system running behind the scenes. The memory that never forgets a betrayal, the loyalty that rarely announces itself, the love that is expressed through action, not noise, the anger that is not chaotic but precise. And that's exactly why most people only know 10% of who Virgo truly is. Tonight, we're not repeating cliches. We're not talking about surface personality traits. We're dissecting the psychological framework of Virgo in 2026. The hidden reasons behind their control, the silent logic behind their emotional restraint, the private standards they hold themselves to, the mental pressure they never show, the subtle ways they test trust, the internal battles they rarely admit. Because Virgo doesn't just live life, Virgo analyzes it. And if you are a Virgo watching this, you've probably felt misunderstood more times than you can count. You've been called too serious, too demanding, too skeptical, too hard on yourself. But what if those very traits are the reason you survive what others collapse under? And if you love a Virgo, what if you've only seen the organized exterior, but never the vulnerable system underneath? In 2026, Virgo is entering a year of heightened psychological clarity. That means sharper boundaries, stronger discernment, less tolerance for emotional chaos, more intentional decisions, and a deeper need for meaningful connection. So the question is not, is Virgo too critical? The real question is, do you understand why Virgo thinks the way they do? Because once you understand the psychology behind Virgo's behavior, you stop judging and you start respecting. Stay with me. Because the next 25 psychological truths about Virgo in 2026 will challenge what you thought you knew. And by the end of this video, you may never look at a Virgo the same way again. Psychological truth number 1. Virgo does not seek perfection. Virgo seeks control over uncertainty. Most people say Virgo is obsessed with perfection, but that's not the truth. Perfection is only the surface behavior. Control is the real motive. And in 2026, this becomes even more visible. Virgo doesn't wake up thinking, how can I make everything flawless? Virgo wakes up thinking, often unconsciously, how can I prevent things from falling apart? There is a psychological difference. Perfectionism is often misunderstood as ego, but for Virgo, it is protection. When things are organized, when plans are structured, when details are handled, when outcomes are predictable, Virgo feels safe. Because uncertainty is what unsettles them. Unpredictability feels like vulnerability. And vulnerability to Virgo is something that must be managed carefully. So they analyze, they prepare, they double-check. They anticipate problems before they happen, not because they want to control people, but because they want to control chaos. In 2026, Virgo will be placed in situations where clarity becomes essential. More responsibility, more visibility, more decisions, which means their instinct to perfect things will intensify. But here's the deeper layer. Many Virgos develop this trait early in life. They learned that stability doesn't happen automatically. It has to be built, maintained, protected. So when someone calls Virgo too, controlling what they're often seeing is a nervous system that learned to survive through precision. Virgo does not crave dominance. Virgo craves stability. And that stability starts with order. The truth is, the more uncertain the environment becomes, the more meticulous Virgo becomes. And in 2026, when external dynamics feel shifting and unclear, Virgo's psychological armor activates. They won't panic, they will organize. They won't dramatize, they will systematize. That is not rigidity. That is adaptation. Life lesson. Sometimes the person who appears most controlling is simply the one who has felt instability the deepest. And here's the question for you. Have you ever been called too much for wanting structure when all you were trying to do was prevent things from breaking? Comment if this resonates with you, because we're just getting started. And what you're about to learn next explains why Virgo remembers everything, especially the things others forget. Psychological truth number 2. Virgo remembers what others forget, especially emotional details. You may think Virgo has a strong memory because they are analytical. That's only partially true. Virgo remembers because they process emotionally through detail. When something significant happens, especially something hurtful, Virgo does not just react. They replay it. They examine tone, choice of words, facial expressions, timing, context. They reconstruct the entire moment internally. Not to stay angry, but to understand. Virgo's mind is wired to search for patterns. So when someone disappoints them, they don't simply feel the pain, they analyze the structure of the betrayal. And in 2026, this trait becomes sharper. Virgo will trust fewer words and observe more behavior. Because once they detect inconsistency, they do not ignore it. They store it. This is why a Virgo may seem calm in the moment, but distant later. They are not emotional reactors. They are delayed processors. And once Virgo concludes something about someone's character, that conclusion is rarely impulsive. It is calculated. Life lesson. The quietest people are often the ones gathering the most information. Have you ever underestimated a Virgo's memory only to realize later they noticed everything? Comment if you've experienced this, because the next truth explains why Virgo doesn't forgive easily once trust is broken. Psychological truth. Number 3. Virgo's trust is slow to build and precise when it breaks. Virgo does not give trust casually. They observe first, test quietly, measure consistency, watch patterns. When they allow someone into their private world, it is not random, it is earned. Because to Virgo, trust is not emotional, it is structural. Trust means predictability, reliability, consistency. And when that structure cracks, Virgo doesn't explode. They withdraw. They reduce access. They stop sharing. They stop investing energy. In 2026, Virgo becomes even more selective. They will not tolerate emotional inconsistency. They will not negotiate their standards. They will not repeatedly explain boundaries. Because once Virgo feels that trust has been mishandled, something shifts internally, not loudly, but permanently. And this is often misunderstood as coldness. It is not coldness. It is recalibration. Virgo believes if the pattern repeats, the outcome will repeat. So they adjust the pattern. Life lesson. Not everyone who walks away is heartless. Some simply refuse to rebuild the same broken structure twice. Have you ever seen a Virgo completely change their behavior towards someone without warning? Comment if you know exactly what that looks like. Now let's go deeper, because behind Virgo's calm exterior, there is a pressure they rarely admit. Psychological truth number 4. Virgo is harder on themselves than anyone else ever could be. People think Virgo is critical of others, but the real intensity is internal. Virgo runs constant evaluations in their own mind. Was that response correct? Could I have done better? Did I miss something? Was I too much? Was I not enough? Their standards are not imposed by others. They are self-generated. And in 2026, as responsibilities increase and expectations rise, this inner pressure becomes stronger. Virgo does not fear failure because of embarrassment. They fear it because it feels like instability. When they make a mistake, it lingers in their mind longer than anyone realizes. They replay it, correct it, learn from it, and quietly demand more from themselves next time. This is why Virgo often appears composed, because their battles are internal. They don't need external criticism. They already hold themselves accountable. The truth is, Virgo's perfectionism is often self-protection mixed with self-pressure. And sometimes, they forget to give themselves the grace they so easily give others. Life lesson. The strongest people are often the ones fighting the most silent battles inside. Are you a Virgo who pushes yourself harder than anyone around you ever does? Comment if this truth hits close to home, because the next psychological truth will reveal why Virgo appears calm, even when everything inside is calculating. Psychological truth number 5. Virgo appears calm because they process before they react. One of the most misunderstood traits about Virgo is their emotional restraint. People mistake it for coldness. It's not coldness. It's processing speed. Virgo does not react immediately because their mind requires clarity before expression. When conflict happens, others may raise their voice. Virgo lowers theirs. When emotions surge, Virgo pauses. That pause is not indifference. It's internal analysis. They are measuring consequences, considering angles, evaluating fairness, deciding what response aligns with their principles. And in 2026, this restraint becomes more intentional. Virgo will speak less impulsively. They will choose their words more carefully. They will react only when necessary. Because they understand something most people don't. Emotional chaos solves nothing, but controlled precision changes outcomes. Life lesson. Silence is not weakness, sometimes it is preparation. Have you ever thought a Virgo didn't care only to later realize they were simply thinking 3 steps ahead? Comment if you've witnessed that. And now let's talk about something even more complex. Because when Virgo loves, it is never random. Psychological truth number 6. Virgo does not fall in love quickly. They assess compatibility like architecture. Virgo doesn't fall in love based on excitement alone. They assess. They study patterns. They observe consistency. They test emotional maturity. They evaluate long-term sustainability. To Virgo, love is not adrenaline. Love is structure. In 2026, Virgo becomes even more selective in relationships. They will not invest emotional energy where stability feels uncertain. They are not afraid of love. They are afraid of emotional disorder. This is why a Virgo may seem reserved at first. They are not uninterested. They are building a psychological blueprint. And once they choose you, understand something important. That decision was calculated. Virgo does not choose lightly. Life lesson. The strongest relationships are not built on impulse. They are built on intention. Have you ever realized that when a Virgo commits, they commit with strategy, not fantasy? Comment if that feels true, because the next truth explains why Virgo expresses love differently than most expect. Psychological truth number 7. Virgo expresses love through action, not performance. Virgo is not always dramatic with affection. They may not overwhelm you with grand gestures, but they will remember your routine, fix your problem, organize your stress, anticipate your needs, protect your time, support your goals. Their love is practical, and in 2026, this practicality becomes their defining strength in relationships. Virgo doesn't love loudly. They love consistently, while others promise Virgo plans. While others speak emotionally, Virgo demonstrates reliability. But here's the problem. Some people mistake quiet devotion for lack of passion, and that is when Virgo feels unseen. Because to them, love is not words. Love is effort. Life lesson. Not all devotion is dramatic. Some of it is disciplined. Has a Virgo ever shown you love in ways that others didn't even notice? Comment if you've experienced that kind of quiet loyalty. Now let's move into something sharper. Because Virgo's mind doesn't just analyze love, it analyzes everything. Psychological truth number 8. Virgo's skepticism is not distrust. It is pattern recognition. Virgo questions everything. Not because they assume the worst, but because they search for consistency. They look for alignment between words and actions, between promises and results, between intentions and behavior. In 2026, this becomes intensified. Virgo will trust behavior more than emotion, evidence more than explanation, consistency more than apology. Their skepticism is not negativity. It is psychological filtering. They understand that clarity prevents chaos. So, before they believe something fully, they verify it internally. And once verified, their trust is solid. But until then, they are watching. Life lesson. Wisdom is not blind trust. It is informed trust. Have you ever tried to deceive a Virgo only to realize they already sensed something was off? Comment if you know exactly how sharp Virgo's perception can be. And now we move deeper. Because behind Virgo's control analysis, love, and skepticism, there is a private world few ever see. Psychological truth. Number 9. Virgo's privacy is a protective boundary, not emotional distance. Virgo does not share everything. Not their full thoughts, not their full fears, not their full plans. And people often misread this as secrecy. But it's not secrecy, it's filtration. Virgo processes internally before externalizing anything. They need time to refine emotions the same way they refine ideas. In 2026, this becomes even more intentional. Virgo will protect their peace more fiercely. They will reduce oversharing. They will reveal themselves only where trust feels earned. Because Virgo understands something deeply, access is privilege. They don't hide who they are. They simply control who gets to see it. Life lesson. Not everyone who is private is distant. Some are simply selective with their vulnerability. Have you ever mistaken a Virgo's silence for disinterest, only to realize they were simply observing? Comment if this resonates with you. Now let's uncover something even more misunderstood. Because Virgo may appear independent, but their strength runs deeper than people realize. Psychological truth number 10. Virgo's independence comes from self-reliance, not isolation. Virgo does not depend emotionally on others easily. They don't need constant reassurance. They don't require validation to function. They don't collapse when alone. Because their stability is internal, Virgo learned early how to rely on their own reasoning, their own planning, their own discipline. And in 2026, this self-reliance becomes stronger. They will make decisions without consulting everyone. They will trust their own logic. They will choose solitude over drama. But here's the nuance. Virgo does desire connection. They simply refuse to depend on it for survival. Life lesson. True strength is not needing constant reassurance, but still choosing connection intentionally. Have you ever noticed how a Virgo can stand alone even when everyone else needs support? Comment if you've seen that quiet resilience. But independence doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. Because the next truth reveals something many underestimate. Psychological truth number 11. Virgo feels deeply. They just don't display it dramatically. Virgo is emotional, but controlled. They don't externalize every feeling. They don't dramatize every hurt. They don't perform vulnerability. Instead, they internalize. They analyze their pain. They dissect their disappointment. They calculate their next emotional move. In 2026, Virgo becomes even more emotionally disciplined. They will not beg for understanding. They will not chase emotional chaos. They will regulate themselves. But inside, they feel everything, sometimes even more intensely than those who express it loudly. The difference is this: Virgo processes emotion through logic before expression, and by the time they speak, they've already filtered it. Life lesson. Not everyone who stays calm is unaffected. Some simply master their reactions. Have you ever underestimated how deeply a Virgo was feeling? Comment if this truth feels accurate. Now we approach something sharper. Because Virgo does not tolerate repetition of mistakes. And this next truth explains why. Psychological truth number 12. Virgo rarely makes the same emotional mistake twice. Virgo studies outcomes. If something fails, they don't just move on. They evaluate what caused it, what signs were ignored, what pattern repeated, what could have been prevented. And once they identify the flaw, they correct it. In 2026, this trait becomes more obvious. Virgo will cut patterns faster, end draining dynamics sooner, adjust boundaries quicker, walk away earlier than before. Because Virgo does not believe in repeating preventable chaos. If they've experienced betrayal once, they refine their filter. If they've been overgiving, once they recalibrate effort. This is why Virgo can appear colder over time. It's not emotional loss. It's learned precision. Life lesson. Growth means refusing to repeat what once hurt you. Have you ever noticed how a Virgo evolves after a painful experience and never goes back to who they were before? Comment if you've seen that transformation. And now, we are about to enter the next psychological layer. Because when Virgo decides to leave, they do it differently than most people expect. Psychological truth number 13. When Virgo decides to leave, the decision was made long before you knew. Virgo does not leave impulsively. They don't wake up one morning and walk away emotionally without reason. By the time Virgo withdraws, they have already analyzed, already measured, already calculated, already given internal warnings. Most people don't see the process because Virgo doesn't dramatize dissatisfaction. They observe quietly. They evaluate patterns. They test consistency. They wait for correction. And in 2026, Virgo will shorten this evaluation period. They will not wait as long for people to improve. They will not tolerate repeated emotional instability. If they conclude something no longer aligns with their standards, they detach calmly, strategically, without spectacle. Life lesson. The most final decisions are often the quietest ones. Have you ever been surprised when a Virgo walked away only to realize they had already been emotionally preparing for it? Comment if you understand that shift, because leaving isn't about anger. It's about boundaries. Psychological truth number 14. Virgo's boundaries are subtle until they become permanent. Virgo does not announce boundaries loudly. They don't declare ultimatums immediately. They don't threaten. They don't over-explain. Instead, they adjust behavior. Less access, less energy, less information, less effort. And if the behavior continues, the boundary becomes permanent. In 2026, Virgo becomes more comfortable enforcing this. They will not over-justify themselves. They will not repeatedly clarify expectations. They will simply reduce availability. This is not cruelty. It is conservation of emotional resources. Virgo understands something deeply. Energy mismanaged becomes stress, and stress disrupts stability. Life lesson. Sometimes protecting your peace means changing your access level to others. Have you ever noticed a Virgo slowly fade out of someone's life without confrontation? Comment if you've seen that quiet enforcement. Now let's move into something more powerful. Because Virgo is not only emotionally disciplined, they are naturally authoritative. Psychological truth. Number 15. Virgo's leadership is quiet, but highly influential. Virgo does not lead through noise. They lead through structure. In work environments, in relationships, in family dynamics. Virgo naturally organizes systems. They notice inefficiencies. They suggest improvements. They anticipate breakdowns. They stabilize processes. And in 2026, this becomes amplified. Virgo will find themselves in positions of increased responsibility, not because they demand authority, but because others recognize competence. However, here is the psychological nuance. Virgo does not enjoy chaos, so they step into leadership to reduce it. Their control is functional, not ego-driven. Life lesson. Real leadership is not dominance, it is responsibility. Have you ever realized that a Virgo often becomes the most reliable person in the room, even without asking for the role? Comment if that rings true. But leadership comes at a cost, because while Virgo stabilizes others, they often carry hidden pressure. Psychological truth number 16. Virgo carries mental pressure they rarely reveal. Virgo's mind rarely rests. They are always improving something, fixing something, evaluating something, preparing for something. Outwardly, they appear calm. Internally, they are running simulations. What if this fails? What if that detail is wrong? What if I missed something? In 2026, as expectations rise, this internal pressure increases. Virgo may appear more composed than ever, but internally, they will hold themselves to higher standards. And the irony, most of that pressure is self-imposed. They don't need others to demand excellence. They demand it from themselves. Life lesson. The strongest individuals are often carrying invisible weight. Have you ever noticed that the Virgo who seems most stable is also the one thinking the most behind the scenes? Comment if you've seen that silent intensity. And now, we are about to enter an even more intimate psychological layer, because beneath the control, beneath the leadership, beneath the analysis, there is a vulnerability Virgo rarely exposes. Psychological truth. Number 17. Virgo's vulnerability is hidden behind competence. Virgo rarely asks for help, not because they don't need it, but because they don't want to appear incapable. Competence is their armor. If they can solve it themselves, they will. If they can fix it quietly, they will. If they can carry it alone, they often do. In 2026, Virgo may appear stronger than ever, more composed, more efficient, more controlled. But here's the truth. Sometimes the person who seems the most put together is the one suppressing the most pressure. Virgo fears being seen as unstable more than they fear the difficulty itself. So they handle things internally. They adjust silently. They repair themselves privately. Life lesson. Strength is admirable, but self-compassion is necessary. Have you ever noticed that a Virgo rarely admits when they're overwhelmed? Comment if you've seen that hidden resilience, because underneath that resilience, there is sensitivity. Psychological truth number 18. Virgo is deeply sensitive, but only a few ever see it. Virgo feels deeply. They just don't broadcast it. A careless comment can linger in their mind longer than you think. A subtle rejection can echo internally. A broken promise can replay repeatedly. But instead of reacting dramatically, they internalize it. They examine it. They evaluate what it means. They decide how much access the person deserves moving forward. In 2026, Virgo becomes less tolerant of subtle disrespect. They will not ignore small patterns. They will not excuse repeated inconsistencies. Because Virgo understands that small cracks lead to structural collapse. Life lesson. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. Have you ever realized too late that a Virgo was more hurt than they showed? Comment if you understand that quiet depth. Now we step into something even more intense. Because when Virgo loves deeply, it changes them. Psychological truth number 19. When Virgo loves deeply, they invest fully. Virgo may appear cautious in the beginning, but once they commit emotionally, they invest completely. They think about your future. They adjust their routine. They integrate you into their plans. They protect your reputation. They support your goals. Love for Virgo is integration. And in 2026, they will not give this level of investment lightly. They will choose carefully. But once chosen, they will show loyalty through consistency. The danger is this: if that loyalty is betrayed, the emotional recalibration is permanent. Virgo does not recover from deep betrayal by returning to who they were before. They evolve. And evolution sometimes looks like distance. Life lesson. Not everyone who loves deeply loves loudly. Some love by building a future around you. Has a Virgo ever shown you devotion through actions rather than words? Comment if you've experienced that steady love. Now we approach something powerful. Because Virgo has a threshold, and when it is crossed, something shifts permanently. Psychological truth number 20. Virgo has a limit, and once crossed, it is rarely reset. Virgo is patient, extremely patient. They tolerate, they observe, they give chances. They adjust expectations, but they are not limitless. There is a point where repeated disrespect, instability, or dishonesty creates internal closure. And when that threshold is reached, Virgo doesn't explode. They conclude. In 2026, this limit becomes clearer. Virgo will enforce consequences faster. They will reduce second chances. They will prioritize peace over explanation. And once they emotionally detach, it is rarely reversible. Life lesson. Patience should not be mistaken for tolerance without boundaries. Have you ever seen a Virgo switch from fully invested to completely detached? Comment if you've witnessed that irreversible shift. Now we are entering the final psychological layer. The last 5 truths will be sharper. They will reveal Virgo's humor, adaptability, internal conflict growth in 2026, and ultimate psychological power. Psychological truth number 21. Virgo's humor is sharp because their mind is sharp. Virgo sees what others overlook. They notice contradictions, they detect exaggeration, they identify inconsistencies in behavior, and sometimes they express it through humor. Their wit can be dry, their sarcasm can be precise, their observations can cut through illusions. But this is not cruelty. It is intellectual clarity. Virgo processes reality quickly, and humor becomes a release valve for that constant mental activity. In 2026, this humor becomes more refined. They will say less, but when they do, it will land. Life lesson. Intelligence often speaks in subtle tones, not loud declarations. Have you ever laughed at a Virgo's comment and later realized how accurate it was? Comment if you recognize that razor-sharp perception. Now, let's go deeper. Because intelligence alone does not define Virgo, adaptation does. Psychological truth number 22. Virgo adapts quietly, even when everything changes. Virgo may resist chaos, but they are not fragile. When life shifts unexpectedly, they do not collapse. They reorganize. They rebuild structure, they create new routines, they restore order in small, controllable ways. And in 2026, when circumstances feel uncertain, for many Virgos, adaptability becomes a hidden advantage. While others panic, Virgo plans. While others react emotionally, Virgo stabilizes. This is not rigidity. It is strategic flexibility. Life lesson. True resilience is not dramatic. It is methodical. Have you ever noticed how a Virgo survives transitions by quietly restructuring their life? Comment if you've seen that disciplined recovery. Now we reach something more internal. Because Virgo's biggest battles are often invisible. Psychological truth number 23. Virgo constantly battles the fear of not being enough. This is rarely spoken about. Virgo appears competent, capable, reliable, disciplined. But beneath that strength is a silent question. Am I doing enough? They measure themselves relentlessly. They compare their current self to their potential. They push themselves beyond what others expect. They rarely feel fully satisfied with their own performance. In 2026, as responsibilities increase, this internal pressure intensifies. Virgo may accomplish more than ever, but internally, they may still feel they could do better. Life lesson. Growth is powerful, but so is learning to accept your current self. Are you a Virgo who struggles to feel fully satisfied even after success? Comment if that inner voice feels familiar. Now we approach something transformative, because when Virgo matures psychologically, something shifts. Psychological truth number 24. Mature Virgo stops trying to fix everyone. In earlier stages, Virgo tries to repair everything: situations, relationships, systems, people. They see inefficiencies and want to improve them. But in 2026, many Virgos will reach a realization. Not everything needs fixing. Not everyone wants growth. Not every problem is theirs to solve. This psychological evolution is powerful. They will conserve energy, choose battles carefully, let others handle their own consequences. And this shift brings peace. Life lesson. Wisdom is knowing what to improve and what to leave alone. Have you ever noticed a Virgo slowly stepping back from trying to save situations? Comment if you've seen that emotional maturity. Now we arrive at the final truth, and this one defines everything. Psychological truth number 25. Virgo's greatest strength is disciplined self-mastery. At their highest level, Virgo is not just organized. They are self-aware. They refine themselves continuously. They correct mistakes. They upgrade habits. They sharpen boundaries. They pursue growth without applause. In 2026, this self-mastery becomes their defining advantage. While others search for direction externally, Virgo improves internally. And over time, that discipline compounds. Stability grows, Confidence strengthens, respect increases, standards solidify. Virgo does not demand recognition, they earn it. Life lesson. Mastery is not about controlling the world, it is about mastering yourself within it. Are you a Virgo who has spent years quietly refining yourself without needing validation? Comment if you see your evolution clearly now. We now have all 25 psychological truths complete. Next step. Would you like me to craft the separate, powerful conclusion that ties everything together emotionally and elevates Virgo in 2026? Conclusion. 25 Psychological Facts About Virgo in 2026 that few people truly know. If you've made it this far, something probably feels different. Not because Virgo changed, but because now you see the structure behind the surface. Virgo was never too critical. They were protecting stability. Virgo was never too distant. They were filtering trust. Virgo was never too serious. They were calculating consequences. And in 2026, that psychological precision becomes even sharper. This is not the year Virgo tolerates chaos for comfort. This is not the year Virgo over-explains boundaries. This is not the year Virgo lowers standards to avoid conflict. This is the year Virgo refines relationships, refines routines, refines expectations, refines themselves. And here's the truth most people miss. Virgo doesn't grow loudly. They grow strategically. While others chase validation, Virgo builds credibility. While others speak promises, Virgo implements systems. While others look outward for recognition, Virgo looks inward for improvement. And that is why they endure. If you are a Virgo watching this, understand something clearly. Your discipline is not coldness. Your privacy is not secrecy. Your standards are not arrogance. Your silence is not weakness. You were built to refine what is unstable. You were built to notice what others ignore. You were built to strengthen what others abandon. But here is the balance. In 2026, your greatest growth will not come from tightening control. It will come from trusting your evolution, from allowing imperfection, from giving yourself the same patience you give others, from recognizing that your worth is not measured by how much you fix. It is measured by who you become. And if you love a Virgo, take this with you. They may not always say everything they feel. They may not express emotion dramatically. They may not need constant reassurance. But if they choose you, if they invest in you, if they build structure around you, that is loyalty in its most disciplined form. So here's the final question. After hearing these 25 psychological truths, do you feel more understood as a Virgo? Or do you understand a Virgo differently now? Comment below which truth resonated with you the most and why. Because when psychology meets self-awareness, respect replaces misunderstanding. And if this deeper decoding of Virgo helped you see the mind behind the sign, subscribe. The powers of the Zodiac signs. Because we're not here for surface astrology, we're here to understand the architecture of the human psyche. And Virgo's architecture is one of the most powerful of all.